like not everybody's a programmer, and not everyone's a graphics artist, and not everyone's a game designer. I'm certainly lacking in a few of those myself. I'm definitely a programmer first, artist last. But if you love making, just taking assets and putting them together and making things, and then using the stock movement stuff, like that's entirely legitimate. You don't have to know how to program to make something playable. So we're going to start off here making a platform game. And one of the things, before we even write any code, what we're going to think about is what kind of movement do we want? Because there's lots of different types of movement you can have in a platform game. And what I'm going to have right now is very basic. We're not even going to do something like Mario. We were talking about very basic digital controls where if you press right, it moves at a set speed. You press left, it moves at a set speed. You press jump, it will just jump a certain height. We'll then move on to adding in more things like acceleration, deceleration, variable jump heights, button buffering, coyote jumping, all that kind of stuff. Hopefully by the end of this week we'll have all this kind of stuff in this. Well, that's the thing. You don't need any money anymore to start off doing game dev. Like, everything is, I mean, other than having a computer to work on. Everything game dev is free, especially with Unity, especially with Godot. Less so Unity nowadays, after the whole thing. Yeah, that was one of the main reasons that I wanted to switch to Godot. When Godot 3.5 came out, I switched over and tried to do stuff in that. Never really got into it. There were a few bits of it. It just kept crashing was one of the big things. The editor just kept ending on me. And so I just went back to Unity until they completely shat the bed earlier last year. And then I moved over to Godot. I have made my last game in Unity, and that was for Game Jam in November. But yeah, all the tools you need are out there. Even if you just want to do... I need to change that mood box. I've closed my Twitter account. That's how... It's been since May. That's how long it's been since I've properly streamed. So hopefully this week we can make a platform game. But JavaScript. You're doing HTML and CSS. Learn some JavaScript. Make a couple of games in JavaScript. Like, not, you don't even need to make anything complicated in JavaScript. You don't even need to make anything in Canvas in JavaScript. You can just make a game that takes button inputs and just think of something quite simple. There's loads of really good, well, I'll say really good, really simple games on old consoles. Like, we're talking like back in the microcomputer days, like BBC Micros, friggin' Apple IIs and stuff like that. All the games that are effectively just UI inputs, click on them, do something. Make a game using that. Make it like a business sim game where you're buying stock or whatever. Or like there's the classic one that I always go to is Candy Floss for the BBC Micro, which we played in school. You literally have one screen, it says, it's day one, it's sunny, how much candy floss do you want to try and sell? And you put in like a number, it's 100, and then you put in how much you want to charge for it, and then it shows you what happens during the day, and it's based on how sunny it is, how many people want to go out, and how much you priced your candy floss as to how much profit you'll make, and it's a very simple game. You could make it in less than an hour if you knew what you were doing. And just doing something incredibly simple like that is just a great way to get your confidence boosted. And it doesn't need much in the way of programming skills. It's a critical thinking exercise. If you really want to get in the code, there's a bunch of can't even remember the name of it. There's a bunch of sites out there that do like code golf sort of ideas where it's like coding challenges, just small bite-sized things. It tells you here's a brief, go do them, and yeah, like. Yeah, the stuff, like languages I learned in school were completely useless. We're doing a Node 2D is the base one. Free code camp, yep. Yeah, if you can find something that works for you, go for it. So The way that Godot works is that you have a node, and then you have child nodes to it. If you've worked in Unity, you'll understand a similar thing happens in Unity, where you have a game object, and each game object has a bunch of components on it. Godot is slightly different. You can only have one script per node. What this means is that if you want something akin to the component system in Unity, you have to add a new child node to it and attach a script to that node. So the way that we're going to do this now is we're going to have a base node, which is a node 2D, which is just a simple node with a position. It is here, and I can move it about on the screen. It does nothing. It's literally just these properties here. It's got a rotation, a scale, a skew, it's got a visibility, ordering, all this kind of stuff. This node here is a completely blank node. It doesn't have any extra properties other than whether or not it's updated during the the process ticks, and we can change it to when it's pausable and all this kind of stuff. It'll just inherit its parent. So this node here is going to be the root of our platformer. It is going to hold the position of our player, and this node is going to be the controller for it. You might ask, why am I not putting the controller on the root node? Well, the way that we normally do this in, say, an old school platformer engine on something like the NES or SNES is that everything would be written inline. You don't have any of these node kind of things, and you could have different kinds of movement. Now we don't want, say, like you've got your movement for being on land and you've got your movement for being swimming. Those might be two different movement sets, because all you need to do is press left and right. You can move left and right in the water, and then you can press the jump button to float up, say in Super Mario Brothers. In this, the way we would want to do it is in a sort of compartmentalized way. We don't really care that this node here, which we'll change the name of it to main movement. This will be our main movement script. It'll take care of when we're on land, when we're in the air. Good morning, Angel. It'll take care of when we're on the land, when we're in the air, but it won't care when we're in the water. What we'll do eventually is we will have some kind of detector to detect whether whether we're in the water or on land, and it will activate each of the different movements and handle swapping between the two. For now, we don't care. We're just doing the main movement script. So we're going to create a new script, and we're just going to call it main movement.cs because we're doing it in C#. It's going to inherit node because we don't care, and we're going to create that, and it's just going to create ourselves a little C# script in the file system. We're going to open this. It's going to take a while because I'm using Visual Studio, and Visual Studio takes an age to load. I'd really love to use VS Code, but for some reason my install of VS Code just doesn't do the IntelliSense properly. So we're going to be switching between these, so I'm going to activate the automatic scene switcher and hope this doesn't flake out. Yes, there we go. So public partial class main movement is a Godot node. It's got a start one, it's got a process, and what we're also going to do is override. What's the... we can't do a draw on a base node. So maybe we do have to make it a... Because I do want to draw little gizmos on the screen to show what's going on. What are we going to do? That is a sprite 2D. Not a sprite 2D, a sprite 2D. We're just going to override the draw. We're not actually going to draw anything. So if... I can't remember. I cannot remember what this was. Running code in the editor. I need to look this up quickly. Engine. That's what we need to do. Engine dot is editor hint. And that's where we're going to draw our gizmos. So, unfortunately, this is a bit more complicated now. So we have to go back into Godot. We'll do a build. It will throw an error because this is not a node 2D. It's just a base node. So we want to change the type to a right 2D, which is unfortunate. I'm just going to leave the texture empty. We don't care. We're only going to use this for drawing gizmos. And this is a banger of a tune. And we're going to do... look at how we do line drawing. Still learning this as I go. Is it just built into that? Yeah, but just draw a line. So from to vector 2.1 colors dot red. I'm going to make that 32 pixels. I'm going to go back to Godot and... does that work? That didn't work. Rebuild. Keep forgetting you need to manually rebuild this. Why didn't that work? Let's run it. And this should pop up in the bottom right. Did it work? No, it didn't. Let's see. Go to debug. There we go. Okay, so that didn't work. Oh, but it has drawn in the gizmos. That's perfect. That's what we expected. Because we stuck it in the is engine editor end. That's fine. That means our gizmos are drawing. It means I can display and show you guys what I mean. I'm going to take this tool off because I think that also means it will run the process, and we don't want it to run the process. That does seem to stop it from running. We'll run it again and we'll see if that is it. No. No, I need to have the tool on there. Okay. So what we also need to do in there is if engine.is header then it's false. I'm just doing this verbosely just to get across what I'm comparing, because I could do it as not. Nah, you know what? I'll go with the better codes, the neater code than the verbosity. It doesn't matter. It all gets boiled down to the same thing when it compiles. I'm still deciding on whether or not to code for visibility or code for normal usage, like everyday usage for best practices. So what we're going to do with this movement is we are going to add node 2D up here, public node 2D of root. And how do we make this into export, I think? Yes, that's what we do. So we put that as a root. We go back into here. We'll do a quick build. And we'll see now that we now have an assignable root up here. And that is now accessible within our script. And that is the node that we're going to be moving. So what we'll also put in here is public float walk speed, public float gravity. I'm going to give them some basic numbers. Oh, come on, Visual Studio, don't be like this. All I'm doing is copying. Thank you. We're going to get a walk speed. We're going to get a gravity. We're going to go into project settings, input map. We're going to add some inputs. So we need to have it so that it, again, it's not showing this. Right, okay, screw this. Where is this? Add window capture. Not window capture, screen capture. Display capture. There we go, that's better. Not perfect, but let's bring it under. You. Where are you? I'm just doing this all on the fly. I'm not doing too well today. What are you? You should be invisible. Oh, apparently that's Godot Project Manager. It's not like I've been streaming for years. Like, you should know how to do all this. There we go. Main monitor cropped. It's now the main window, so you can now see this and try to teach things. Okay. Input map. We want to add a new action called jump. But we'll make it lowercase, just for... So this is all the UI accept stuff. We can ignore all that. So create an action. We now want to add a keybind to it. We want to bind the key. Space. So spacebar. We also want to bind joypad buttons. No, joypad buttons called space. So joypad buttons. Where is it? We want the. So when we're doing this, how do we want to do this? So jump, X, south, bottom action. We'll make bottom action jump. We will add in a new action called left, a new action called right, and an action called down, and an action called up. Now I wonder what these will do. So listen for input, we'll just do... Man, increasing the font in this is... right. Down. And we'll do it again for the joypad. Joypad, D-pad up. No, that's wrong. Left. Again, just pressing the button on the joypad rather than searching through them. And that's how to set up our inputs. We've got a jump button, we've got a left button, a right button, a down button, and an up button. And that's really all we need for this just now. Now, you were wondering why we've got an up and a down and a jump button when we're only making it move left and right. Well, we might use them later for different things, because, say, for example, dropping through platforms, we want to do down and jump for that. We want to do a high jump is up and jump. We don't know yet. So input dot is action pressed. And that's how we would then process a jump in there. So let's see. We don't like strings. Things like this. We don't, when we're doing programming, as a rule, we don't like magic strings. We want them to be somewhere that we can access them. So what I'm going to do is, in the main one, I'm going to create a new class. And I'm just going to call it constants. So we go, we got it. Make it public so that we public static class constants. I'm going to make it what this means is that if we use this in other places and we decide that we're going to change our input movement, say we decide actually no, we're going to high short jumps. Yeah, we might decide we want to change it to an L rather than searching through all our code for the magic string left. We just change it in the constant. So we have to use platformer because we've added it to the namespace platformer. We could remove that namespace. So now we're just doing constants.jump. Just making sure that Godot does sometimes put stuff in places that we don't expect. So I didn't know if it did this already. I'm learning as well. So in here, we're going to do a private float x speed. And we're not doing this as a get set. Generally speaking, we want properties to be stuff that we expose to the outside. And fields, we want them to be internal. So it's a 2D platformer. We actually want that one to be minus walk speed. And we handle all the inputs in process. We'll handle all the physics changes in physics process. Kind of how we do it in Unity. I'm not too sure the best way in Godot yet, but I'll do it this way. I will be streaming today. I'll hopefully be streaming this week. I am off work all this week. So hopefully today, tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, we'll hopefully be doing something different every day. So hopefully today we'll get the basics of the engine done. So we'll have something moving about, colliding with things. We'll have the jumping put in, maybe have some button buffering, see how far we get today. And then next day we'll be doing some graphics, some animation, and then maybe some music and level design and just the whole. Hopefully at the end of the week we will have a playable level, and then we'll see how it goes. I might stream the rest of the development until it's actually released. But by the end of this, I want to have a a platform engine done in Godot by the end of the week. So physics process, what we're going to do in physics process is, again, we're just not going to do this when the engine isn't playing. Generally speaking, you won't need to add these in so long as you don't add tool to the top of this class. But because we want to do engine hints and drawings and things like that, we're making this a tool as well. So physics process, root dot position plus equals vector2.right times x speed. That's pretty much all we need to do for making it move left and right. Back to Godot, and we'll run this. Hopefully this should work. It didn't crash. We do have one problem. We don't have any graphics for it. So we will actually add a sprite 2D to this. And I will quickly load up... actually, no, we can just make it nice. We can do that. There we go. It's moving left and right. I hit left, it moves left. I hit right, it moves right. If I don't hold anything, it keeps going the way it did. So we need to fix that. So at the start of every process frame, set x speed to 0. So now it will only move when I'm holding the key down. And what we'll do is we will move the sprite. We'll move the sprite. Be more on the screen. So what you can see on the editor here is this blue, very faint blue line here. That is the extent of our viewport just now. So we stick it in the middle. It'll now show up there. I can actually get rid of that preview window now. Since we're actually showing the main monitor now.